When the gates of hell open, countless demons swarmed out of them. They slaughter humans like cattle. In the face of such dark creatures, humanity had no power to resist. The whole world was turned to purgatory, and the appearance of these demons all points to an ancient legend. In ancient times, human armies fought against dark creatures. The immortal Blood Queen Nimue spreads a deadly plague. She threatened to wipe out the human race from the face of the earth. Finally, young Arthur stepped forward, with the supreme mage Merlin in tow. He pretends to surrender to the dark creatures. Just as Nimue let his guard down, a soldier threw a spear in his hand. Nimue was pinned to a tree. The dark creatures surrounding him tried to advance, but with Merlin's magic, they quickly fled. But Nimue was not dead. It turned out that the weapons of mortals could not hurt her, and in her fury, Nimue began to unleash the plague once more. At this critical moment, Arthur drew his sword. The king's sword first severed her spellcasting arm, then he cut off Nimue's head. But Nimue's magic was too powerful. Before she died, she transferred all her blood to the tree. To seal Nimue's body, Arthur divided her into 6 pieces, and locked each piece in a different box. Then they were sealed by the saints. The chests were eventually buried separately around the world by brave knights. Time is fast approaching. 1,000 years later, Hellboy is a paranormal investigator. One of his teammates has been ordered to investigate a vampire lair, but the team member lost contact with him 3 weeks ago. By the time Hellboy finds him again in the fighting ring, he's lost himself. He attacked Hellboy straight away, and he was modified. Hellboy got serious. He quickly took control of his teammate, but as he lifted his teammate's hood, he discovered he had turned into a vampire. The unsuspecting Hellboy was instantly thrown to the ground. The vampire then began to attack with his long, sharp claws. In desperation, Hellboy had to defend himself with his arms outstretched. At this point, the referee pulled out a cross. As the vampire was about to change his target, Hellboy came from behind just in time, but the vampire instantly spread his wings again. This time Hellboy didn't show any mercy. After blocking the vampire's frenzied attack, he threw him out, and with his life running out, his teammate turned back into a human. Before he died, he told Hellboy a prophecy that the end of the world was coming, and Hellboy was the one who made it happen. Hellboy then returns to the Bureau of Paranormal Investigation, but before he can rest, his father has a new assignment for him. Soon Hellboy was at the Osiris Club. Like the Paranormal Bureau, this organization has been fighting the forces of darkness for centuries. And then Hellboy learns what this mission is all about. It turns out that a long time ago, giants had ruled the land. Although humans eventually destroy them, the bodies of giants are still buried underground. And one thing about giants is that they can turn into zombies when they die and then crawl out of their graves to wreak havoc. After learning all about the situation, a hunting party consisting of Hellboy and the club set off. Intelligence reports indicate that the giants have appeared in a forest, but by the time the team arrived, the giants had disappeared. Only a few human bodies were left behind. The team then followed the footprints. They soon found a perfect spot for an ambush. As the team was setting up their mission, Hellboy was suddenly attacked, and the attacker turns out to be a member of the hunting party. It turns out the mission was a lie. After the club learned of the prophecy of doom, their real target was Hellboy. The unsuspecting Hellboy was caught off guard, surrounded by enemies. He jumped off the bridge, but the hunting party soon caught up with him. Hellboy had to fight back as he fled. As a creature of hell, Hellboy is extremely powerful. No normal attack could do him any harm. However, Hellboy was eventually contained by the hunting party. The captain then brought out his secret weapon. A powerful electric current instantly paralyzed Hellboy's body. As soon as Hellboy was incapacitated, the captain stepped in. Just as he was about to cut off Hellboy's head, he was surprised when his head flew off first. When he climbed out of the water, he found that the hunting party had been wiped out. It turns out that they have all become food for the giants. While he was watching from the shadows, another giant was behind him. He attacked Hellboy straight away. By Hellboy's back on his feet, another giant was rushing towards him. Faced with the attack, he pulled up a tree and threw it at him. The blow hit the giant right in the eye. Other giants soon came to his aid. Yet this giant looked less than clever, and he went straight to hacking his own kind to death. He was lucky to escape but was sent flying with a hammer. Before he could even reach his feet, another giant was charging at him. After dodging the giant's first attack, he immediately started to fight back. His mechanical right hand had the strength of a demon, and with a single punch, he knocked the giant around. He then punched the giant in the eye, and with a wail, the giant quickly lost his balance. Hellboy pulled up a tree and drove it through the giant's body, but there was no time for him to rest, for the last of the giants had come for him. Hellboy tried to dodge with his nimble body but was kicked out of the way by the giant, but he also landed right next to a large sword. Although it was a giant's weapon, Hellboy picked it up straight away. He swung his sword and killed the giant. When all was calm, he fell to the ground, drained of his strength. Meanwhile, a group of dark creatures was plotting. They were preparing to awaken the sealed Nimue. Soon, a dark figure arrived at the abbey, then a pig demon broke right through the door, after it had killed all the rebels. The pig demon took the last of the saints to the chamber. Here it managed to find the chest that sealed Nimue, to break the seal. However, the saint had to recite the incantation. Seeing the saint's refusal to submit, the pig demon pulled out his tongue and installed it in its mouth, and as the pig demon recited the incantation in a human voice, the seal on the chest was finally opened. Inside, Nimue, who had been sleeping for 1,000 years, awoke. Then, thanks to the pig demon's efforts, it found more and more bodies. Meanwhile, Hellboy wakes up. This time it was his best friend, the psychic girl Alice, who saved him. Shortly afterward, his father arrives to stop Nimue from returning to life. He also brought Hellboy a new companion. He is Colonel Daimyo, who has the power of transformation. Immediately afterward, the group went into action. Next, they had to return to the Asilius Club, for it was there that a part of Nimue's body was kept. However, when the group arrived at their destination, they found the place had been slaughtered. Luckily, thanks to Alice's psychic powers, they meet the spirit of the club's leader. They then realize that Nimue had been searching for her king. If she succeeds in finding him, the end will come. But as the murderer was still here, the fearful spirit disappeared before it could say anymore. At that moment, a strange sound came from the side. Hellboy heard it and immediately rushed over. The pig demon hadn't had time to leave. As Hellboy smashed the box, Nimue's last arm fell out. Hellboy then had the pig demon firmly in his grasp. However, at that moment, Nimue's phantom appeared out of nowhere, but Nimue didn't attack because she saw the demonic power hidden inside Hellboy. Nimue invited Hellboy to become her king so they could rule the world together. Just as Hellboy was overwhelmed, Daimyo's voice woke him up just in time. Nimue disappears immediately, and the pig demon is lost with him, but their visit was not without its rewards, for Hellboy had learned the identity of the pig demon. It turns out that 20 years ago, the pig demon had taken on the guise of Alice. It wanted to stay in the human world by doing so, but in the end, Hellboy spotted him. The pig demon then had to escape into the chimney to avoid death, but it had to send back the real Alice under Hellboy's threat. Because Hellboy had ruined its plans to become human, the pig demon now wants to resurrect Nimue to deal with Hellboy. Nimue has now gathered all her bodies. In an ancient ritual, she has come back to life. As the most powerful blood queen ever, she will now embark on her plan of revenge. Meanwhile, Hellboy has returned to headquarters, but he soon has a falling out with his father. It turns out that at the Osiris Club, he also unwittingly learns of his origins. Towards the end of the Second World War, the Nazis wanted to use their last resort to turn the tide, so they used black magic to open the gates of hell. But just in time, the Allied troops arrived. After finishing all the enemies, they saw a creature crawling out of hell, and he was Hellboy as a child. Ultimately, Broom didn't kill him but adopted the child from hell. But now, he has doubts. He thought Broom had adopted him because he wanted to make him a weapon, not because he loved him. With that said, he slammed the door and left, but just as he stepped into the lift, he found himself and they came out towards the squad without fear of life or death. The group was all caught up in this undead. At this point, Daimyo decided that he and Alice would hold off the enemy. Hellboy breaks out to stop Nimue. As soon as he reached the top of the hill, he launched a surprise attack on Nimue. The dark creatures surrounding him all fled, but ordinary weapons could not harm Nimue. Her wounds were soon back to normal. Hellboy's weapons were then disarmed as she struck back, and then he was knocked out with a slap. But instead of hurting Hellboy, Nimue made another overture to him. They will rule the world together if Hellboy is her king. Then they will build a new kingdom out of the ashes. In response to Hellboy's refusal, Nimue immediately cursed Alice, who had come to her aid. She then proceeded to kill everyone close to Hellboy, to awaken the demon that lies dormant within him. Hellboy finds Merlin, the supreme mage, sleeping underground to save his companions. After rescuing his companion, Hellboy learns another truth about his identity from Merlin. It turns out that Hellboy is not only the son of a demon, he also has the power of King Arthur in his blood. Hellboy's mother was the daughter of the last Arthurian king, but she ended up marrying a demon, and when Hellboy was first born, he was given the title of Destroyer of Everything. Merlin then used Hellboy's blood to summon King Arthur's most precious treasure. The king's sword before him was the only weapon that could kill Nimue. As Hellboy gripped the king's sword, a vision appeared before his eyes. Hellboy is now holding a flaming crown on his head and a sword of destruction. A flaming dragon was carrying him through the heavens and the earth. And on the ground, human cities have been destroyed. Immediately afterward, he leaped straight down from the sky. Then, under his sharp blade, all the humans were eventually slaughtered. Seeing such a scene, he immediately let go of the king's sword. He could not allow himself to become such a demon. On the other side, Nimue arrived in the city at that moment. She started spreading the plague around, trying to exterminate the human race. She then invaded the Supernatural Defense Bureau. When Hellboy received the news and rushed back to the place, he found that it was a bloodbath. While he was upset, he also saw Nimue on the news. He then rushed over immediately. By now, the whole city was covered in dark clouds. Countless demons were flying in the sky. By the time he reached the church, the first to appear was the pig demon, and now it had been given power by Nimue. No ordinary bullets could do it any harm. Looking at his enemy, the pig demon immediately rushed forward. Hellboy was undaunted by this, and the two monsters collided directly with each other. But Hellboy is thrown out by the pig demon. As the pig demon attacked again, he rolled over in time to avoid the attack. He then grabbed an iron frame and started to fight back, but with the pig demon's strength enhanced, Hellboy was no match for him. The pig demon then took advantage of the situation and attacked again. Hellboy was pinned to the ground and rubbed. The pig demon's tusks then pierced him. Hellboy was left defenseless. At this point, Daimyo decided to stop hiding. As he injected the genetic potion, his body immediately began to change. First, his palms sprouted sharp claws. Then, with a roar of pain, his body began to change rapidly. In a matter of seconds, Daimyo was completely transformed into a beast. He then immediately attacked the pig demon, but the pig demon was now so powerful that Daimyo was soon sent flying. But by this time, Hellboy had also recovered his breath. They then charged at the pig demon together. Even with Hellboy and Daimyo together, they were still no match for the pig demon. Soon, Daimyo was knocked unconscious. Next, Hellboy was knocked down with a punch. The pig demon lifts a huge boulder. Just as it was about to smash Hellboy into the ground, Nimue appeared. Her intention was only to push Hellboy to the brink, not to kill him. When the pig demon tried to object, Nimue withdrew the power she had given it. The pig demon's body began to shrink and eventually degenerated into a small piglet. Nimue then attacked Hellboy again. She smashed him into the ground with her magic. And here, too, happens to be hidden King Arthur's Sword of Kings. So this is King Arthur's tomb. But no matter how much Nimue tried to compel him, Hellboy wouldn't pull out the king's sword. Seeing how determined he was, Nimue had to use his last resort. He killed Broom right in front of Hellboy. Watching his father die in his arms succeeded in enraging Hellboy. Hatred made him draw the sword of the king. Wait until Hellboy has completely drawn the sword. King Arthur's body was immediately reduced to ashes, and then Hellboy smiled a strange smile. The horn on his head, representing the devil's power, was growing rapidly. The king's sword had activated the malice within him. Now he has completely lost his mind. He has become a true destroyer of all things. And with Hellboy's arrival on Earth, the gates of hell opened. Countless demons began to emerge from the earth. They immediately slaughtered the human race. These demons were not only grotesque in appearance, but they were also destructive in many ways. Humans were defenseless. The demons were destroying even the cities. In this moment of crisis, Alice sneaks up on Broom's corpse. She then uses her psychic powers to summon Broom's spirit. As his father droned on, Hellboy finally regained consciousness. He swung his holy sword and cut off Nimue's head with a single blow. He then thrust the king's sword into the earth. Immediately the gates of hell began to close, and the demons slaughtering were dragged back to hell with a scream of resignation. When all was calm, without hesitation, Hellboy snapped off the two horns on his head. He then grabbed Nimue's head and threw her straight into the lava of hell. This time, she never has a chance to be reborn. At the end of the film, Broom also says goodbye to him. He says that being Hellboy's father has been the best decision of his life. At this point, Hellboy realizes that Broom has always loved him. He will continue to follow in his father's footsteps. Together with his companions, he will continue to keep the peace and happiness of the human race. Remember to subscribe to my channel, and I'll